Going into this for the first time, I always heard that this was going to be like a God of War, a man with a plan for revenge, but as Wolverine. And believe me, he has some options. Alright, before we get into that, this is combat overview. Pretty on the nose, but in this series I want to go over, well, just that, the combat. To be a visual manual in a way, and to give a more in-depth look into what a game has to offer. Because too many reviews gloss over combat, calling it a button masher, or giving it the blanket statement, it's like DMC. Alright, so to do lights, you'll press X. This will do some quick swipes, dealing fast damage. X into Y will end in a finisher, and from what I've read and seen for myself, that a certain amount of lights into heavy will actually chop specific limbs. But thing is, it seems like the heavy limb chop finisher only happens if it's the killing blow, or if they're super low health. I think, but during my casual playthrough, I've only had this happen less than 10 times. It's not something you're gonna see too much from my experience. So pressing Y will do a launch, and where lights for me didn't have distinct follow-ups, this one does. Y into Y will end in an enemy flying away. Y into X will do some basic attacks. Y into B will grab them, and you can guide it a bit so you can hit other people if you want. Y into hold B will grab them, and you'll swing them around, dealing damage to nearby people before letting go of B to let them fly away. And holding Y will charge up your launch, and when you let go, you'll go up with them. Now there's options in the air we can do too from here, but let's see how we can get in the air first. So to jump, press A, and if you press it again, you'll double jump. Pressing heavy after first or second jump will do the same slam attack. But okay, this is where jumps get kind of interesting. So going back to the launch, that pop-up it does gives us enough time to jump and do some follow-ups. So jump into lights would do some quick swipes, and also from what I noticed, once you start to attack, you can't jump again to do some double jump air combo shenanigans. So jump into heavy will do a attack that sends them flying. Jump into grab will do a mid-air body slam from the top rope. Since we're on the grabs, let's see what we can do with them on the ground. So to grab, press B. X will pummel. Y would do this instant kill minigame. The best way to describe it is reverse Emmy from Metroid Dread. A light will flash on screen, and when it does, you need to quickly press heavy to do the quick finish. Pressing B will toss them away, which you can also do with flicking the left thumbstick. Now onto Wolverine's unique mechanic. So to do this, you will need to hold RB to lock on, and then press LB to lunge. Once you land on them, you have some options here too. So lunge into X will do some pummels. Y will do a finisher that does major damage. B will toss them away, and you have some control over this, and you can guide it where it goes, so you can use this as crowd control. Now I did say RB will lock on, but I don't really recommend using this for fights. For me, I just felt like the cam was just too close while locked on, so I just use it for the lunge. Also, a little fair warning, there's not a powerful soft lock, so you control pretty much everything. And a cool combo you can do is to grab somebody, toss them away, and lunge out of midair. The left trigger will block. While you're blocking, you can move around, but a bit slow. There's auto turnaround while you're blocking, and it's pretty strong. While you're in block, you'll gain access to a roll. So this does mean roll does not have its own dedicated button. So you need to block first and then press RB to roll. It has some good amount of iframes, and what did you guess it? Rolls have their own follow-ups too. So roll into Y will do a finisher, and roll into a grab will tackle an enemy, and you can press X to pummel or B to toss them away. And if you roll towards an enemy that you're close to, you will just flip over them, and if you press Y, you will do a strong attack, and pressing B will do a grab. Now to go back to blocking, you can cancel lights at any point of its animation by pressing the left trigger. You can do this both on hit or whiff. So you can cancel an attack with block, and since you're blocking, you can instantly go into roll, having those options as well. Also, if you time your block correctly, you'll do a parry. Pressing X or Y, it doesn't really matter which one, it does a counter attack, and pressing B will grab. You can also parry projectiles, sending it back. LB will shoulder bash. This is a good way to cut the distance between you and an enemy. It also interrupts. Now this bash has follow-ups of its own. So bash into Y, do a power launch that sends him away. Bash into B, grabs, and it's the usual stuff with this. Bash into X, goes into the regular lights. Now the bash has 2 more uses. It's a good way to move around, but thing is there's a lot of recovery on the bash. Where we press the light attack, for example, it will just cancel that. So bash into light and bash again can loop. Since bash is loopable and cancels lights, so the second use, we can do bash loops on enemies. Start with lights, bash, back into lights again to do more quick damage and not commit to a heavy finisher. Or you can bash into the launch away or bash into a grab, which has its own options. The top left is where your health and meter for specials are. So how it works is this whole red bar regens over time, but the heart on the left of it doesn't. Once that takes damage, it stays until you gain health drops. The yellow under the health bar is meter for your specials. And to fill this bar up, you have to pick up these red orbs that killed enemies will drop. And the best way I've seen to get a lot fast is to do the insta kill. I haven't tested it, but there might be a system where more gruesome or committal finishers will give out the most red orbs. So we have these 4 different specials to choose from. So to use your specials, you will hold R2 and then this window will pop up. And they're color coordinated to the face buttons. So X will do the spin attack, and with P depresses, it will keep going, but it does have a for sure end. Y will do this drill attack ahead of you. A will do slams on the ground, and with the P depresses, it will keep going to a sell point. B will give you a damage buff and increases speed of your health regen. Some extra modes here are 1v1 fights with yourself. You just have to find some in-game collectibles and then you'll gain access to them. So there's 3 different fights, and once you beat them, you'll unlock their alt skin to use whenever. But after I got all of them, I noticed I still had an option locked out, and since it was with all these 1v1 fights, I kind of figured there was another one. But after I looked into it, I actually found out it's an arena. It has both preset waves of enemies to fight that gets harder over time, or you can make some custom waves for yourself. So how to unlock this, right? Well, you would have to pre-order the game a good 13 years ago, and even if it was purchasable after it came out, the game's delisted too. So at this point, we're kind of all missed out on it. For me, where Wolverine shines is just how many ways you can go about dealing with enemies. But the thing is, you're Wolverine, and this game does such a good job of giving you that power trip. You really have to go out of your way to use these options, because spamming lights and specials will be more than enough at times to get you by. But since there's so many tools, you have the options to do them. So if you want to push the game a bit further and do some more layered plays, and you can get creative with it. But don't let the game fool you though. It does fight back. Some enemies are designed to have you interact with them differently. These guys anti-air your lunges, some lock you in, forcing you to have some more close quarter fights. These shield guys are best dealt with the close range rolls. And if you parry these spear guys, it actually breaks their weapon and giving them a different moveset. But yeah, this game definitely has some cool stuff going for it, and definitely recommend checking it out. So cool actually, that after you beat the game, you get to do this.
So here I